Hello, my name is Samuel Sayer from the MITRE Corporation, and I'm here to talk to you today about how we can use HL7 FHIR to reduce the burden of quality measurement while still increasing the value. In 2018, MITRE delivered an eCQM strategy report to CMS. This report had a number of recommendations about increasing value and reducing burden, but specifically today I'm going to be talking mostly about data standards, and most specifically about the FHIR standard and the promise it holds to increase the quality of care and to reduce the burden on our providers. When we interview people for the eCQM strategy projects, one of the issues they noted was the difficulty in mapping data from their own electronic health records to the quality data model. The quality data model is only used for quality measurement, and because this is only used during this process, people do not find value in doing this work only for quality measurement. Because it is only used in quality measurement, additional work needs to be done by clinicians in order to capture this data as a part of the clinical workflow. This adds additional burden on providers. To address these issues, FHIR has a number of benefits. It simplifies this data mapping process that many find onerous under the current QRDA-based architecture. It improves the alignment with clinical practice to ensure that the clinical workflow is not overly burdensome. It streamlines the reporting process so that you can interact with your quality data, you can get your quality measurement, and you can find value in the quality measurement process. Last but not least, this promotes interoperability. We have adopted standards that can interoperate with other standards used across clinical care. We no longer have a use case where technology is only used for quality measurement and not in clinical care. Quality measurement on FHIR uses a standard called the Quality Improvement Core, or QI Core. QI Core is how we represent clinical data elements in FHIR that can also align to other standards, such as what's called US Core. US Core is the basis for most standards being developed in the United States now. This allows us to ensure that the clinical care is aligned with quality measurement. We also provide mappings because we want to ease the transition from QRDA to FHIR. So we can map from the quality data model to QI Core. Now that we're moving to QI Core, and we have aligned with other standards that are used across clinical practice, this allows us to also align with clinical decision support, which is already moving to a FHIR-based architecture. By more closely aligning clinical decision support and quality measurement, we can reduce the burden on providers, increase the value of quality measurement, and improve the accuracy of quality scores that are calculated during the quality measurement process. Because FHIR is based on an application programming interface, or an API, it allows for an interactive quality measurement process rather than just submitting your data at one point and then hoping that you get the scores that you want. Throughout the year, you can interact with this API, you can calculate your quality scores, you can submit additional data as it becomes available, and you can also look and see what is the data that I need to be submitting in order to be successful with quality measurement. Letting you know what data you need and allowing you to look that up in your own applications allows you to ensure that you are confident that you are submitting the data you need to reflect the quality of care that you are giving. Next, we'll cover how FHIR promotes interoperability. We've already discussed how we align with clinical practice. This is done by aligning with the standards that are used for clinical practice. What we have is really a pyramid, where at the top we have the more specific use cases, such as DEQM, and then we have some more general use cases, like QI Core, which can be used for both clinical decision support and it can be used for quality measurement. Below that, we have US Core, which is used generally in all United States-based clinical care. And below that, we have FHIR, which is used all around the world and has a very general application. We have two different arrows here because we're showing that as we introduce new data elements, we can find consensus with the community, and elements that find consensus with the community can then be promoted to those more general use cases. And likewise, those consensus-based data elements that are brought in from other use cases can then make their way into our own more focused use cases. And this allows us to ensure that all the data elements that we are all interested in, and then that cross the various parts of care, can then be used across the spectrum and ensure that we are interoperable across all these different use cases. While FHIR holds a lot of promise, there's still a lot of work left to do. We are currently in the pilot stage with FHIR, testing out how we can use it to transmit quality data from electronic health records and from other providers to payers and other quality measurement systems. We are also investigating how we can adapt current measures to use the FHIR-based architecture and how we can continue to refine these standards to make sure that we are raising value and reducing the burden of quality measurement. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I'd also like to thank my colleague Floyd Eisenberg from ESAC, who initially collaborated with me on this content that we created for HIMSS. Again, my name is Samuel Sayre, and thank you everyone for listening to me today.